Is this thing on? Hello, and welcome back to the SA Voice Podcast. Podcast by students, for students, about student life. So, I got a couple of ladies with me today. Kaylee, Jana, and Megan. How are we doing today, ladies?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Jana, how's school been going for you so far?
Oh, it's been interesting. I mean, I'm not really enjoying the online learning, but so far so good. Trying to bear with it all.
Yeah, we did a podcast about some of our initial kind of like problems with school. I had an interesting little story in there that if anyone saw this, they'll know what I'm talking about. Kaylee, how about you? How's school been going? How's life so far this pandemic year?
It's been going good. Just into doing school online, which is very different this year.
Yeah, has it been a hard adoption for you, or are you finding it easy? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I find it more difficult. Definitely have to be more organized and be on top of things, but for the most part, it's been going pretty good.
Yeah, I feel that. As someone that spent like 2 minutes right there trying to find the document for this podcast, I know exactly what you need about lack of organization sometimes. It's all good. Megan, how about yourself? I think you're muted.
Yeah, it says you muted me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Oh, I'm an asshole. I apologize. I know how rude. Okay, I'm going to shut it down. No. Yeah, sorry, please tell me.
Yeah, no, it's same as Jana and Kaylee. Like I'm not loving online. It's really hard to sort of keep on track, especially going into our third year too. We're all kind of told like, we're not going to baby you anymore. So that mixed with the online component, we're just having to be a lot more, organized. We'll call it.
Yeah, I've been finding like we were told the same thing. So I'm in my second year now of the business program, and we were told that there is a significant jump from first year to second year, right? And it's just so funny. It was like then with going to online, they've now been like, oh, you know what? You're not going to have to spend all this time going to school anymore. We're going to give you even more work. It's like, come on, guys, like, be fair here.
Yeah.
But
definitely don't take it easy on us, huh?
Yeah, I found that transition from the end of summer into the school year was a little bit difficult in a couple different ways. Like I work as a server, and so all summer, I'm kind of sweating my mask and like got that kind of little mask face going on, and I was trying to find some ways to adopt to that. But now that the seasons are changing, there's all these kind of different ramifications of it. Like people are starting to get this kind of maskne from the dry skin. And do you guys have any tips on how to deal with that? How people can do some proper skincare while dealing with masks in the pandemic world?
Yeah, so what I looked up based on like from dermatologists and all that, and they were saying that we should be cleansing our face before and after wearing masks, making sure that we have a clean face before putting them on and after taking them off. They were suggesting like you can just get drugstore stuff as long as you cleanse it, and mention that normally like people exfoliate their face at least once a week, and trying to up that to two to three times a week. So then that way, like you're getting rid of all the dead skin. Another thing that I read up about is how normally like maskne, it's from you sweating and the irritation from it just rubbing up against your skin, and then you'll end up having even more drier skin. So trying to purchase like a good moisturizer is very beneficial, and they were saying to like moisturize after every time that you're washing your face. Another thing with that though, with the gyms opening up and now people are able to go out and exercise, how they're having to wear masks within the gym, and then that's causing even more irritation.
Yeah, I can as a beard haver and someone that has to work for hours on end while wearing a mask, I can absolutely identify with that. So I think I'm going to be using some optimum points and going in some face moisturizer. Do you, Kaylee or Megan, do you have any thoughts on this as well? Do you have any experience or any knowledge to share?
No, not so much on the maskne component. I've been lucky where I haven't really had to wear it for extended periods just yet. We go into our acute clinical next week, so we'll have to be wearing it for 8 hours a day. So I may come back to some of Jana's tips next week.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've been finding that like getting used to the masks is one thing, right? Like we've kind of all adopted, like I find a lot of people have gotten like kind of like, you know, cute patterns or ways that they're kind of matching some of their fashion accessories, and we've gotten used to it in that way. But one of the drawbacks of that, of course, is like, you know, people are using the same mask again and again, like over long periods of time. Would it, Kaylee or Megan, especially, would either of you had any tips for cleaning face masks if you're going to
Yeah.
reuse them?
Yeah. So, I mean, prior to cleaning, actually, we should probably talk about storing just because
Oh, for sure, yeah.
in between cleaning, right, you want to make sure that you're storing them properly. Well, for starters, too, like, you know, the disposable masks are disposable. They are not reusable. We don't want to be cleaning them, right? So,
Yeah.
but for storing them in between cleanings, like if you're out and about for the day and you need to put it away but might need to use it later, you want to make sure that you're storing it. There's actually kind of some conflict on where to store them. So initially the World Health Organization, suggested storing them in plastic bags, but some more like recent studies have said maybe not plastic because the moisture can get trapped in there. It can cause mold or something like that. But and actually to store it in a paper bag. And if it does
really?
to be, yeah, so you want to store it sort of the inside sides touching each other so that the exposed outside is still being the exposed outside. Store it in a paper bag. If you do need to reuse it, you remove it by the straps only, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, for washing, typically the reusable ones can just be thrown in with your regular laundry. The hotter the wash cycle, the better. If you're washing by hand, just, excuse me, like hot soap and water. And then drying, same thing. You can either throw it right in your dryer, or if you're going to air dry it, you want to lay it flat. And if you can lay it in the sun, that's preferable. But, you know, that might not be always doable, I guess, right? But, and then with bleach, you want to just make sure that it's a bleach that's intended for disinfection and that can be used on colored fabric, right? Or, I mean, I guess if it's white, can be used on fabric in general, right? So, yeah, that's pretty basic tips for washing your mask.
No, those are actually all really useful. I wouldn't have even thought about the paper bag, so that's really smart one. I have a couple that my girlfriend's mom made for us,
Yeah.
and I love them. It's like the Raptors championship print. Like, yo, I want to keep that.
Oh,
I want to keep that fresh, right? So I'm gonna make sure that thing is kept in a good place. Good place.
Well, funny
Thank you
thing
so
too,
much.
like just quick little side story.
Yeah.
My younger two kids actually at their school, what we do is at the beginning of each week, we send them with a bunch of masks for the week. They send them back at the end of the week. And we had initially been sending them in Ziploc bags. And then I noticed that one of my sons actually at the end of the week had these little like green spots all over them. And I was like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, is this mold? And of course you don't want to be breathing that in, right? So we have switched now to, and actually we informed the school, who has now school-wide switched to paper bags for transportation for masks. So yeah, it's interesting. We're all learning, right? As we go along in this pandemic. So.
Yeah. Constant learning process, right? It's got to be just a whole different level of dealing with kids' well-being in school yourself. So honestly, power to you for doing that. That's actually really impressive. So it's good to now we know a little bit more about taking care of them and cleaning them. Do we have any tips for like the usage of masks, I guess would be the best way to put it. Kayla, do you have any thoughts?
It's important to make sure that the mask has at least 2 layers of tightly woven fabric because this helps prevent the dispersal of like the viral droplets from the nose and the mouth. And then before we're putting the mask on, it's important to inspect it to make sure that there's no holes or tears. And as Megan said earlier, make sure it's like clean if it's reusable, or it's brand new if it's a disposable one. And then it's important to make sure that the mask is also dry. But before putting on the mask, everyone should perform hand hygiene. So they can either use hand sanitizer or just wash your hands with warm soap and water. And then most of the masks have ear loops. So you're going to hold the mask by the ear loops and then place it over your nose and your mouth. And make sure that the top part, if it's disposable, has the bendable part because that's the part that's going to mold over your nose. And that's pretty much it. You want to make sure that like your mouth and your nose are fully covered. I can do a demonstration if you'd like.
Yeah, fantastic. The more information, the better.
So you're going to hold it just by the earlobe loops, and then place it over your nose and around your ears, and then pinch it on the top and pull it down like that. And then when you're wearing the mask, make sure you're not touching the outside because this area is contaminated. And then, I don't know about taking off the mask. You're going to perform hand hygiene again before you do that, making sure you're not touching your eyes and your nose and your mouth. And like I did, you're just going to take it off by the ear loops and then dispose of it if it's disposable.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think the taking care of the hand hygiene before and after, like handling the mask, I think is something that I know myself, I haven't really been as smart about it as I should be. So thanks for passing it along.
Yeah.
So, you guys have any kind of funny stories with the COVID pandemic so far? Anything that you've actually found has almost been like a fun little point before we head out of here? Anything good about this past little while that we can share to the other people?
I mean, you started with funny and switched to good, so I think you really narrowed down our story.
Oh well, let's go. Hey, anything positive? We'll stick with that. All right. Let's be a ray of sunshine after a little bit of some information.
Silence. I think initially when everything went into lockdown and we didn't know how long this was going to go on, we thought it was temporary. I think just that getting that sort of almost being forced to spend time like with everyone that we love, that we take for granted and stuff like that, you know, I think that's been really nice, just actually having that time to spend with people. And forced was probably not the best choice of word, but you know, we kind of were initially, and then just learning to appreciate that, I think was pretty cool.
Oh, anything you want to share before we get out of here, Jen?
Let me think. I mean, like, this is bad to say, but like going home in the summer, I really appreciate it once we started having to wear face masks, and I didn't have to run into as many people as I knew and stop and talk to them. I mean, that's really bad to say, but like there's like when you go home after you're done like high school and that you go home, there's some people you don't want to have to run into. So I mean, like, I enjoyed the face mask. I'd be like, oh, they don't know who I am. Also, like with a lot of things, I guess when you run it, like some people don't keep their distance at all when you're grocery shopping and like get really close to you. And I find it weird because normally I'm the type of person where I don't mind if people are in my bubble, but throughout all this, I'm like, if someone comes too close to me now, I'm like, what are you doing?
Just before we go, I just was hoping just to add a couple just quick don'ts about face masks, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just because there is a lot of sort of mixed messages and stuff that we're getting out there, but just a few like quick tips is like obvious, like there's some obvious where it's like, don't share your mask with other people, right? You don't want to like leave it unattended. Okay, so words are not working for me right now, but unattended, right? And then don't, you know, handle masks that are belonging to other people. You know, you see a lot of people who will pull it down to talk to people, which defeats the whole purpose, right? And it's a huge pet peeve of mine, actually. Or like, you know, wearing it under the nose doesn't, you know, again, it defeats the purpose of wearing it, right? You know, no, you don't want to, if it's a tied one, like don't be hanging it from your neck while you're walking around, right? Because then the inner area is going to be exposed to the environment and then it's contaminated, right? Which again, then you're putting it back on and you have the contaminated surface on your face, right? And actually the ones with the exhalation valves don't actually do anything to protect other people. They're only protecting yourself. So again, those are ones that you should probably avoid if you're picking a mask. And I think that was pretty much it. I don't know if you guys have anything else, but yeah, I just wanted to add those quick little don'ts before we got out of here.
Yeah, the ones with the valves are like a one-way valve, so you're not protecting the public from you. If you did have the virus, you're just protecting yourself from others.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you all, Megan, Jana, and Kaylee. I appreciate the information you gave us today, and hopefully this will be a help for St. Lawrence students and anybody else listening to this podcast.